Roy, why is each chair painted a different color and a different way?
That is because I did not have the money to buy a set of chairs. So yes. I borrowed. I mean, I had people giving me chairs, and I had an idea that I would not pay more than $5 for any one chair. And you know, I'm a house painter, and I have a lot of paint, and I like painting.
Yes.
So I just started painting chairs because you know, that's what I like doing. And so it came sort of a feature of the place. The tables and chairs are all different. There's no two tables alike. And there's a couple chairs that are the same chairs, but when you paint them differently, they're not the same chairs. Because a lot of these chairs weren't very good, and as they break, more people will give me, you know, another chair, or I'll buy a chair for $5 and paint it. So I had to, initially I didn't care what kind of chair I got. I mean, now I'm much more discerning. I want it to be small, sturdy. Before I get some big clunky things, and they would creak, and now, like I say, I've got a much better selection of unmatching chairs.
I once had a girl, or should I say she once had me, John Lennon.
And why does she have a permanent reserved seat by the front door?
Joyce is a good friend, a masseuse, who happens to be blind. And I have a relationship with her that I just let her in exchange for massages. So, you know, and she's here a lot, and we love to have her, and her dog. And she's got her own table, and we boot people out when they're sitting there when Joyce comes in, and nobody argues.
Yes.
Because the table says, you know, this is Joyce's seat. I tell her, you can't see shit from here, Joyce. You know, it's the worst seat in the house. But the sound is really good.
Normal is in the eye of the beholder. Whoopi Goldberg.
It's all inclusive here. I like to bring everybody in. So I just try to expose this place to different people all the time. Sometimes through public relations, you know, just people come in, they've got a fundraiser. Can I donate? Man, I donate to everybody. And yeah, I hope somebody, you know, will come in here because it's a free night and see. This is a pretty interesting little spot. Bring it on down to my house, honey. There ain't nobody home but me. Now bring it on down to my house, baby. I need company.
How often do you sand down the signpost for the night's act?
As you can tell, it's got a big bulge in it.
Yes.
I don't sand it. I rasp it about every 6 months because it just gets bumpy and you can't paint over it.
I see.
You can't read when I'm painting on it. But there's a hell of a puzzle underneath there. If you want to rasp it off and get all those little pieces together, you can tell who's played here for the last 7 years. Because I think that's when I started doing it. I had this post, and I went, oh. Then I said, well, you might as well use the post as some kind of feature. So it's right in the middle of the stage. Well, not right in the middle. It's at the edge of the stage, but it's the elephant in the room. You can't, you know, not get around it. So well, let's use it.
What you seek is seeking you. Rumi.
Who else helps make Armando's happen?
Well, Joe Vorderbergen, who currently runs my sound booth and really is the engineer of this sound system we have now. And really, Joe bought the sound system, and I've been paying him off. I mean, here's a guy, a sound engineer, who saw a need, so he goes out and buys, you know, $7,000 worth of sound equipment, and I pay him a little, every time he works here. I pay him like another $50 more, and I'm working off paying that sound system. But before him, it was Thomas Martin, and Thomas was, you know, Thomas was everything here. The electrician, a great sound man. He'd perform here. Matter of fact, he's performing here in about a month. So I've had some people who really weren't just like me, concerned about the money they were making. They wanted this place to work. Robert Perry was an original sound guy here, and he was doing some of the first early shows where there, you know, I had a really kind of a primitive PA system, but it was a PA system with an engineer in front. So,
Art,
is anything you can get away with. Marshall McLuhan.
What gives you the most pride in this effort?
Well, I'll have some shows where I'm just tickled. You know, I'll be maybe washing dishes, washing glasses. And I'm back there washing glasses. I'm listening to something like Chuck Prophet. This is great. You know, somebody else is schlepping dishes in a cafe, and it's hot, and they're not enjoying themselves. I'm listening to some great music, and I'm cleaning glasses.
And by the way, behind every great man stands a woman with her arms crossed, shaking her head. And that would be Eloise.
When did you meet Roy Jeans, and what was your first response to him?
Well, it was something like 40 years ago, so I don't have a clear memory. However, I do know that I saw his paintings in the student art gallery at Chico State College before I met him, and I loved them.
Oh.
I still love his paintings. Shortly after that, a mutual friend introduced us. We were all taking an art class together, and I guess we've been friends ever since.
You're only given one little spark of madness. You mustn't lose it. Robin Williams.
I don't know, I could look around and I'm always finding something new that Roy put up that I didn't know about. I mean, this is his canvas. Like I said, he doesn't make art anymore. This is his canvas.
$50, it's a damn good CD. Eloise is selling them at the bar. We're also taking Harriet. Harriet does yeoman's work here, passing the tip jar around because nobody has contributed, and that just ain't right, ladies and gentlemen. Because we got to get these guys back home to Moraga, and Rachel, we got to get back home to France.
This is a freak accident, Armando's.
This is a freak accident?
Yeah, I've said this before. This is like me, people who go out and buy a boat, because they like to be on the water. Well, yes. I like listening to music, but nobody ever bought a boat and think they were going to make money on that boat. And I never had any idea that this was going to make money. I was just happy that if we could kind of break even. Because I had so many friends who played music, and they all were disgusted with the venues. They didn't want to play bars. People just got hammered and wanted to get lucky in a bar. The music was just something that was there. And so I heard these complaints with all these friends so I said, what the hell, I'll build a stage. I had this place became available. I knew about it. And so I said, I'll just do it. I'll do it and get it out of my system. If I fail, it'll be much easier to live with myself knowing that I tried. And so that was the catalyst that opened this place,
well,
like 9 years ago.
9 years ago.
Yeah.
Being different is beautiful. Michael Franti.
What was this building prior to...
They sold golf clubs in here. This was Mama's Mercantile, which is a funny name for a golf store. The place was packed with thousands and thousands of 1-irons, 2-irons, 3-irons. You go, drivers. And it was a pretty interesting little place. And Joe Patrick, the owner of the place, who I knew very well, knew about the place, knew about me, and he trusted me enough to rent me the place because I told him what I wanted to do, and he said, well, what the hell, I'm not selling golf clubs anymore. So he just let me do it, whereas I'm indebted to Joe. Joe has since passed, and now I rent from his son, who lets me continue doing this because I rent this place. I wished I'd owned it. Matter of fact, for years, I would have owned this. I would have done this earlier because I kept asking Joe to sell me this place. He never wanted to sell it. Never wanted to sell it, and I kept putting off doing this because I wanted to buy the building. One day I just said, just do it. I could rent the place at a pretty decent price and do it, and that's what I did.
Remember, one man's ceiling is another man's floor. Paul Simon.
How has the club changed over the years?
We run it a little more proficiently, I think. Eloise, I had to mention Eloise. Eloise and I have known each other since college in Chico. And we've always remained friends. You know, she got married, I got married, we were always friends. And when I opened this place, she was right there at the very beginning, because I needed help, and and she and I used to go out and listen to a lot of music in a lot of different venues, because there was no place like this. We'd have to go to Berkeley or San Francisco, and it would be expensive, but that's just the cost of of pursuing something you like. And then when I opened this, Eloise was in there at the very beginning. She now does my booking. She also runs the bar every now and then.
Is a peninsula.
What about Bill Graham as an inspiration?
I always admired Bill. I guess I admired the shows he put on. Timing's everything. He saw a niche in San Francisco for some music, live music, and he really filled it in a big way, and brought in some great music.
Yes.
And I still have a connection. I mean, there's a gal that Armando's associated with, Tony Isabella, who worked for Bill Graham, when he was alive, worked for the organization Bill Graham after. But she's from Martinez, and she comes here a lot, and we set up some sort of relationship. So she's introduced me and got some pretty big names to come over here just because of that relationship, which I got to credit Bill Graham a little bit for fostering that. I've got now sound people. There's like 5 or 6 different sound people, so coordinating that is tough. And I've got different doormen, and I run the bar on slow nights when. You don't need an MC, or I can MC and run the bar. But the place has an MC, like I'm the MC. That's unusual. Somebody who announces, Bill Graham used to do it. And I always thought that was just the Matrix, Bill Graham did it, and it never occurred to me not to introduce the bands.
Yes.
And so I've been doing it, and I've got a little shtick, that there's about 20 lines I pull out. I try not to do them night after night, but just stuff to add a little humor to the opening and the closing of the night. You got to get people out of here when the place is closed, and basically when the music's over, the place is closed. I tell people, there's bars down the street that are open. Go there. We're closed. And everybody thinks that's kind of funny, but they get out of here, and I can live a fairly normal life. I mean, the music used to go to 11. Now it just goes to 10 o'clock for the most part. And, hell, I'm in my 60s, and I can't go on until midnight and 1 o'clock with much regularity. So it fits, me, and most of my clientele is, they're up there too.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Don Neely is leaving, but he'll be back in 1 week with Val Sharp and Big Money from staff.
Jim, thanks for being here backstage. Have you ever lost inspiration to play? And if so, who or what re-inspired you?
Yeah, when bands break up, you have to realize that you put a lot of time into rehearsing the songs and getting everything really perfect. So when these things kind of go down, it kind of destroyed my desire to try to do that again. So I put my energies full-time into producing. However, I got a call from Roy Jeans a number of years ago, and out of the blue, and he said, "I'd like you to come and play Armando's." And I thought he was crazy at the time because I had given up. I hadn't practiced anything, and nevertheless, on the phone, I said yes, which kind of surprised me that I would say yes to that. And then on the way to the gig, I felt like I was kind of on my way to my own creative execution because I had been off the scene for a number of years. I didn't have a band behind me. But then as we were approaching the gig, people started calling me to sit in with me. Carlos Reyes particularly, he said, "Hey, I hear you're playing Armando's, and so would you like me to sit in?" And so I got a lot of support, and then to my shock, the gig actually went very well. We got a standing ovation, and I've been playing ever since.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you,
I love that story.
Playing places like Armando's is kind of anomalous for me, really. It's a joy. But really what we're doing is playing planetariums and astronaut galas, and we played a Smithsonian space exhibit for 9 weeks. So we're kind of in this new niche of kind of bridging between art and science.
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
backstage and,
Nice.
and talking.
Yeah, it's been great here at Armando's.
Yes.
People come in here and want to play. And they say, oh, you ought to go to my Facebook page and you can hear, go to my website. And I said, give me a CD. And I feel if you're going to play here, you at least better have a CD.
A word to my critics. Yes, I am alive.
You know, I mean, you better be that professional. Well, why do you want a CD? Because I do not want to sit in front of a screen and watch music. I'd rather put on the music and go about my business. You know, there's plenty of things you can do here
Yes.
with music in the background, and that's how I review bands.
Yes.
You know, Eloise deals with the bands. That is a huge job. Because it's like, you know, corralling cats. And they all are different. We have a way, you know, what she does, and I think it's a great system, deals with everybody online. So it's written down. Here's what we're sending you. Here's what you send us back. So there's no disputing, you know, an arrangement we have for that band in here.
Yes, that's
and
good.
And then all the other peculiarities of, you know, some bands require more than others, and some are just sweethearts to deal with, and others are, you know, a little more complicated. So, and she handles all that because she does a good job and she knows her music, and she's great at it.
As I recall, Roy told me something like 8 or 9 years ago that he wanted to rent this space as an art studio. He was going to start doing art again, and I was, of course, very supportive of that. And one night a week, he was going to move everything out of the way and create a music venue. Because there's so many talented musicians in town, and he said they were just playing in their living room. So he called it Armando's Thursday, and that's how it started.
The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the servitude of others. Gandhi.
When did you become involved?
Well, right before he opened up. I mean, it was like, okay, I'll tend bar, because I've done that before, and somebody else said, well, I'll do the sound. Somebody else said, I'll be the doorman, and that's kind of how it happened. It was just all volunteers, and not a whole lot of thought went into it.
Were there any goals?
Not at the time.
What's it like dealing with the musicians and the bands?
That comes easy to me. I really get along well with musicians, and probably part of that is because both my brothers were musicians, so I grew up around it.
Were you ever performing yourself?
Only in my dreams.
What
in my
would you like-
fantasy life.
Yes, what would you have liked to have done?
Oh, I'd like to be a jazz musician.
And what instrument would you play?
Well, piano's what I studied, so that would probably be it.
Do you still play piano?
Not enough.